Okay, welcome everyone to the Sandy Hahn podcast, episode 2. And I'm sure we'll hopefully think of another name. I've thought of some other names, it's pretty funny ones, but we'll get to that eventually. But the second podcast is going to focus on holistic medicine, which again I had mentioned before I thought was a bunch of hooey and crap. But when you're out of options, you'll try anything. And I did. Because it was just, it gotten so bad. The depression, the anxiety, it was paralyzing. Nothing I've ever felt before. And it was awful. I didn't really get out of bed for a while, except to go to the bathroom or get something to eat. I wasn't even really showering that much because, quite frankly, even taking a shower was terrifying because I had to hold myself up and, standing there soaking wet, naked by a big pane of glass is not comfortable. So I was just sitting there. I didn't leave the house. I didn't want to talk to anyone. It's hard to describe to people, but I'm sure maybe there's a lot of you who have felt that at times, some more than others, but it's, again, paralyzing. And you just don't want to leave the house. So, but eventually I did, because I found some holistic doctors to go see who were recommended. And I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you, and I wasn't expecting much. But again, you start being very open to options when you don't have any, really. So this, at the time, I thought was my last option. So I went, and it was pretty cool. I liked it. I liked the main doctor, and there was a couple doctors there that I really liked. There was some chiropractic work that was really beneficial. It was helping me move a little better. And it was really more spiritual and mental as well, but very spiritual. Just trying to get in touch with certain things inside of me and trying to release them. So that was the main doctor, and the other guy, so it was more of just doing some chiropractic work and helping me try and move. And it seemed to be helping. So I started going back a lot. And it was probably a good, month and a half into it when I felt something I've never felt before, and it was a release of just, I guess you'd call it negative energy, and I felt it. I stood up out of bed, grabbed the window, looked out, and felt something leave, and I started crying, and told my wife, I wasn't even sure what I felt. I felt something, and it's gone. And I believe what that was stress over uh, my relationship with my father. And again, he's unbelievable. Uh, our relationship's better than it ever has been. But throughout my life, it hasn't always been great. He's always been there. I know he loves me, but he worked hard, and he became quite successful. Um, but he was a workaholic. And once I grew up and got out of college and got into business, I wanted to do more than he did. And so I was always pushing, trying different things. And most of them didn't work at all. Most of them were pretty bad as far as going into debt and then trying even harder to get out of it and stressing about the debt and trying something else that didn't work. And boy, what that does to you. I now know that it was affecting me in so many ways. And at that point, I let it go. The anger and the resentment. It wasn't towards my dad. It was just, I guess more or less because I wasn't successful. I didn't do what I was trying to do, and there's part of me thought that he was probably pretty disappointed. But I let it go, and that was a turning point. So I kept going back. I was going back probably twice a week, and it really started helping. And then the one chiropractor suggested I try some physical therapy with a particular person. And I did that. And that was amazing. I walked in with my cane, hunched over, barely walking, and he did some things with me, straighten my back, shoulders back, hips forward, because I was just in a mode that I don't know what to call it, just pulling away and hiding and almost feeling like I'm defending myself. I'm not sure from what, but I couldn't walk, and he got me moving, and within half an hour, I was walking. I went from hunched over with a cane to not using my cane and standing up straight and just walking. And it was amazing. And as I'm leaving, I remember the funny part, I had to sign in and sign out, and he was standing there as I went to sign out, and I was walking normal, and I was twirling my cane. And I remember him laughing and going, "Look at you. You came in here hunched over, ready to walk in, now you're just smiling, walking away, twirling your cane." And it's awesome. And it really got me out of a funk at that point. And it got me feeling so good that I was going back in, kept going to this holistic doctor, and even they noticed a difference after that. And it's amazing when you can walk and you can move, what that does to you mentally as far as improving things. Because when you can't, that's when you think, all right, this is not good. And that's when the depression and anxiety comes in and gets stronger. But I started walking and it started diminishing. And it was amazing. And so I kept going, and it was good. And, well, one other part that wasn't so good, they had a lot of pills they had me taking. And they were all natural. And, they said, this is nutrition. Your body needs this. Because I wasn't eating much. That's another part of this disease. I'm just not hungry. I got to force myself to eat. And I was not eating well. Crap, just fast food, and it's awful. So I tried these pills. I was going to commit to whatever they told me to do. But it was about 30 pills a day. And I don't like taking pills. I can take little teeny ones, but anything larger, I have a hard time, and I would gag a lot and throw it up. So I had to, took me a while to take them too, because I could only do one at a time, and it was difficult. And again, several times I would swallow, I'd gag, and I'd throw it back up. But I was going to commit to it and keep trying it. And I did. Then the issue was that it was not making me feel good. I would feel nauseous, unbelievably nauseous. And didn't know why. But I would take the pills, and I was just throwing up randomly in the shower, at the sink. I walked down into the kitchen, and thankfully I was standing by the kitchen sink and talking to my wife. And then it just, out of nowhere, I was like, oh. And she's like, you all right? I go, no. And then within 10 seconds, I was projectile vomiting into the sink. It was horrible. And so I started not taking the pills as much. And I went back to see the doctor and told him as much. Like, I don't think this is working. The pills. Everything else was doing great, but these pills are... And they tried to adjust them and lower the amount of pills I was taking, and then add some different ones in. And I tried that for a while longer, and it didn't work. So I was done with the pills, and but I kept going because it was helping. And I felt positive. I even told the doctor, like, hey, I got this, man. I'm gonna beat this shit. And I felt it. I believed it. And I was doing okay. And then, all right, what else can I do? They have all kinds of stuff there. And I started doing acupuncture, which was interesting. And first time, I wasn't really sure it did anything. And it felt weird. And the next day after I did it, I felt stiff. it's like things got worse. I'm like, ugh, why am I doing this? And then I spoke with a friend who had done it before and said, yeah, I'd done certain parts of my body, and at the first time it didn't feel great, but then it, that feeling goes away. And I figured, well, I'll try it again. So I started doing it more, and I felt like it was helping a little bit. And so I was pretty much going every week. And it was nice because you go in, you talk for a while, talk about diet and other things, which are incredibly important, but I was, again, not eating well at all. And then he'd take about an hour to put all these needles in your body, and he was putting them in from the top of my head all the way down to my toes and everywhere in between. And I tried to count, but it was close to 100. Again, top of my head, my ears, my neck. And he'd do it sometimes on my stomach, sometimes on my back, and everywhere, all the way down. My back of my legs, toes. Same thing for the front. And I started feeling like, all right, I think this is helping. And then I started, prior to going there, I would eat a gummy. So by the time that started, because you're sitting there for at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And takes him out to put the needles in, then he just lay there. He turns the light off, and it's pretty relaxing. And I thought, well, I should take a gummy before I do this, and that'll make it even better. And it did for a little bit. But I then it didn't. And it was my own fault because it was summertime, I guess, and I had left some gummies in my car, and they all melted together. So it was one giant gummy, and I wasn't sure how much to take, so I just sort of peeled some part of it off and ate it. And it's kind of like almost when I was eating, I was like, oh, that might be too much. And it was. So I went back in to the clinic and did the stuff, and then, saw a chiropractor, and then I went to the acupuncture guy, and it started kicking in when he's talking to me. And he's talked for 20 minutes, felt like an hour, because I stopped even hearing what he's saying. It was just glazing off, and his mouth was moving, but I couldn't hear anything. So I finally laid down, and he started putting the needles in, and then I kind of started tripping. And my body started convulsing and shaking. And he was only, not even close to being done, but on my legs, and then my legs just started coming up off the table and shaking, and I knew he was probably wondering what the hell's going on. I knew I was having a bad trip, and it's not fun. It's the last time I've done that, so now I know how to do it right as far as the amounts. So anyway, literally, I think I started at 2. Went at 2. The acupuncturist started at 2:30 or so, and he obviously finished quickly because I was tripping, and I just told him, just stop. You got to take these needles out. I just need to rest. And he did. And then I was there resting, trying to recover for a while, at least an hour, maybe two. And finally came back and was like, okay, you need to get out of here. And I barely made it out down the hallway, down the steps, got in my car. And it was, I don't know, 4:30, and I turned on the car, put the air conditioning on, and I slept for probably 2 hours. I called my wife and just said, yeah, I'm still here. I didn't tell her I was tripping either, but... And I slept for 2 hours, so sat in that parking lot in my car for probably another 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and finally snapped out of it. And drove home. And that was my last experience with acupuncture. Might be willing to try it again, but just need a break. But the other doctor I was continuing to see, and it was good. Wasn't seeing as much because he's in high demand, and so went from a month or two of seeing him every week to then once a quarter, which was fine. And then I started seeing another chiropractor because the one chiropractor had left. And there was another lady chiropractor, and she was amazing. She was pretty hot too, so. But she was so sweet, and she was doing stuff to my body that the other guy wasn't even coming close to. And, oh, did it help. So I loved going there and seeing her and having her do that work on me. And then she was leaving, and I was pretty bummed out, and she had texted me once because she was going to be doing some work for some other places, and I was intending to go see her, but the time we had scheduled me to go, I had a little episode, and I couldn't go. But it was amazing. And then at the same time, the other main doctor I was seeing went on a sabbatical. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but he was taking time off, so I stopped going and was sort of in search for some other things. And again, this is now summer of 2020, and I was feeling pretty good. He even actually started golfing again, which is great because I didn't think I was ever going to play again. And then I did, and I was doing okay. So that was fun, but then I started getting more episodes, and you never know when they're going to happen, but they're terrible. I remember one of the first ones that I recall having was I got up, showered, got ready. My friend had asked me to go play golf, and I was like, all right. Went downstairs. My wife was sitting on the couch, and I'm dressed to play golf and in the kitchen, and then it just hits me. I can't. It's hard to move. I got dizzy, nauseous, and I just sat down in a chair. And I ended up sitting in that chair, not being able to move for like 2 hours. It was horrible. I had to text my friends saying I'm not going to make it. And it eventually passed, but it's so terrible. It's hard to describe. My wife would always come up and like, what can I do? What can I get you? And when you feel like that, you just don't want to do anything other than sit there. And I just said, can you bring me a blanket? Because I'm kind of cold. Another issue with this disease is you can't regulate your temperature. So I would get extremely hot and extremely cold. And I never knew when it would happen. So she would always try and take care of me. And eventually I just had to say, look, I love you and I appreciate you wanting to help. But when I have these little episodes, I really just need you to leave me alone. And I don't think she liked that. And I didn't mean to be mean, but when you're feeling like that, you don't want to be talked to. And then, so once it finished up, and it happened many more times, but at least I could say, look, I'm sorry. That didn't probably come out so nice when I was in that mood or in that state. And I don't mean it all to be mean, but just I hope you can understand that how I'm feeling. And she understood, and she was fantastic, as always. So I then sort of started searching for anything else. And I had friends and my wife always looking up, what about stem cells? What about this or that? And I would always ask my neurologist, what about this? And he's like, no. So I kept searching. And a friend introduced me to a documentary called Heal. It was on Netflix, and it was amazing. It resonated with me. I probably watched it 15, 20 times, and each time I watched it, I would get something new. And first time I watched it with my wife, and said, I want to, will you watch it with me? And once it was done, I was like, that's amazing. And she's like, I love this stuff. I've always believed in it. And so that was awesome. And again, I kept watching it and trying to learn. And they were talking about diet and, how your thoughts can affect your body. Toxic thoughts and stress being sent to your body will cause toxic results. And that's why so many people have so much stress, and it makes them sick. And tonic thoughts going into your body can help you heal. And again, it's doing that for me. So again, I'm very excited about it, but it's taken a while because I guess that was summer of 2020, and boy, I didn't realize the roller coaster ride I was going to be on from that point up to 3 months ago. Because it's quite a ride, and I hope that you'll stay along with me for that ride. I'm going to try and stay upbeat and happy and even funny, even though I probably haven't been so funny so far. But it gets better. It gets a lot better. But before it got better, it got a lot worse. And I'm going to dive into some of those details and stories because they're pretty bad. But again, I want to talk about those bad times to try and show other people, even as bad as it was, you can make it out. It can get better, and hopefully I can show you that way. So, thanks again for anyone who's listening. Thanks to Ted Gordon for my second podcast. I'm going to do a lot more. I have a lot to say, and I'm going to keep saying it as long as I can because it's helping to keep me alive, and I want to live for a long time. So, thank you.